If you had a losing week, your family couldn't eat.
Bread and water, dude.
Bread and water. And I would ask you, like, how would you pick these games? And you would say, oh, I asked my daughter to see which mascot she likes better. You remember, like, when I was betting, I would bet, like, probably 15 to 20 bets a day.
They look at me as like, oh, here's the sucker who, like, he's going to pay for my kid's college tuition.
We went on a two-night trip to Vegas, and they said I gambled 18 hours.
You're listening to Scared Money Don't Make Money podcast. And here are your hosts, Sam and Sonny.
All right, welcome to another episode of Scared Money Don't Make Money. My name is Sam, and we got special guests today. Sonny's not here today. He's a little busy. So we have Mark here and Danny, and they're kind of our resident friends that bet on sports betting every now and then, and Danny's more of our sports expert, especially for football. And the reason we're doing this episode today is football season. NFL and college is back. Preseason started last week, and I wanted to discuss a little bit about how football impacts betting, because baseball sucked ass real bad for me. So I'm excited about NFL, and so we're going to talk. What do you guys... So, Danny, I have a question for you. Because heading into football NFL season, you did really well for the last, 10 plus years. Last year, you did okay. And I know that you're always wanting to make six figures in football, right?
Well, that's the goal. Don't always
goal.
get there, but that's the goal.
So preseason, do you ever bet on preseason?
Rarely. Something's got to really stand out to bet on preseason, but for the most part, probably stay away from that. There's too many unknowns.
All right. Well, before we get into more, dive into more of the football season and the different aspect of betting for our episode, can you guys kind of introduce yourself and give us your background on sports betting and what you guys know?
Well, my name is Mark. I'm actually kind of like the newbie out of the whole group. Only been betting on football for probably about 3 or 4 years. Just got into it to like really kind of be, just get in on the action and see if there's like things that you can do.
Be part of the social circle.
Yeah.
People are talking about it.
Yeah. I mean, everyone seems to be doing it, and it's always a fun way to actually, make what you're watching a little bit more lively, like you have skin in the game, So just kind of got into it because of that.
What's your average betting amounts, and like how many games a week?
During the football season, it's usually probably around like 4 or 5 or 6 games. And the average bet is probably only like 100 to 200 per game.
Okay, so you're still risking a lot there.
Yeah, I mean,
up to $1,000 a week.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably upwards to about like between 400 to 500 a week, or 400 to 600 a week. Might put in like a small parlay, just to feel like I have better odds, even though I know that's like a sucker's bet. But put in like 4-team parlay and for like $25, and the payout will be what, like $300.
Yeah, actually $400 if you bet $40.
Oh, okay, yeah, something like that.
The reason I know is I actually played a 4-leg parlay in the first week of the preseason. I bet on all unders on 4 teams, and I hit it. So I bet $100 to win $1,000. So for the season, I'm up.
Sam loves parlays. That's why during the football season, his nickname is Parlay Sam.
Danny, tell us a little bit about yourself and your history.
My name is Danny. I've been sports betting on football probably for about almost 30 years now. It's been a long time.
He's a veteran.
A veteran. It took me probably a good 10 years to figure it out, to learn. Threw a lot of money away in the beginning, but for the past 15, 20, it's been all right.
That's good. And I know a lot of times you make the money to help pay for things. For instance, like you actually went and put yourself through pharmacy school as a living expense while you're going to school.
Yeah, for living expenses, and then after I bought my house, did all my landscaping with that.
Yep. And if you had a losing week, your family couldn't eat.
Yeah, we're bread and water, dude.
Bread and water.
Man.
We eat better during winning weeks for sure.
Yeah. So let me ask you, Danny. We got two different types of bettor for sports. We have a veteran who's been betting for 30 years, and I'm assuming your units, when we call units, is the amount of money you bet, are much higher than someone who's like Mark, who is betting somewhere between $25 to $100. And so, what's the mindset of like your mindset going into the season? Football season starting, NFL, college. Is there a way that you like strategize and say, this is the way I have to be disciplined, this is the way I attack the method of betting, versus someone who's more social in terms of betting? He's just kind of like, oh, let's just put some parlays in, let's see, put 4 or 5 games, and if it hits, if it doesn't, if it does, like what's the difference in your mindset?
Yeah, I mean, definitely as an amateur, if you're only betting $2,500, if that's your unit and you're just betting for fun, you could be a little more reckless, or you could be a little more, put in a lot more for fun bets where, you're just in there for the action, But for me, I don't care. I don't need the action. For me, it's more than gambling. For me, it's more like I like to call it an investment.
Okay.
Because my plan is, to put money in and get money out of it, and hopefully have a good ROI. But, in that sense, I don't put in any bets where I'm just doing it for action or just for fun. Every bet has to be like a strong play for me to be able to play it. And the most important thing is, in that sense, you got to be disciplined. Yeah, because I do want to bet a lot more games. I do like action, so I do want to probably put a lot of for fun bets. But that's part of the discipline you need to be able to hold back on that.
Right, because let's say you win $2,000, but you put in 3 bets of 200, and with juice, you end up losing and only making maybe $1,300 or something, right?
Yeah, and that's why for me, like my strategy is I don't put in 10 games at once. I'll just do less games but put more on it, just because I don't want to get juiced out. Because it's just like in Vegas. The more Vegas wants you to play more hands, right? They want you to sit at the table longer, and the longer you stay, the more you're going to lose, or the bigger chance you're going to lose. And I feel like it's the same way in sports betting. The more bets you play, you'll just get juiced out.
Right. That makes sense. And, another question I had for you was, when you get into the season, is there like you're kind of like an analyst, right? Like financial analyst, because you got to pick the right games and you got to know how much to bet and when to press, things like that, right? So, what type of research do you do, and how do you pick the games?
Coin flip.
Coin flip. I remember talking to you a few years ago, and I would ask you, like, how would you pick these games? And you would say, oh, I asked my daughter, see which mascot she likes better.
Which sometimes turns out better, But, as much, you could do all the homework and research you want, but I would say it's only maybe 60, 70% that. But you still need a lot of luck, too, because you don't know how they're going to actually perform or execute on the field. But, I mean, there's a lot of things that come into play when betting these games. There's, obviously the teams itself, injury reports, weather, the type of field they're playing on, home, away.
Whoops. Dropped my phone.
Home, away. Also like how do those certain offenses do against the certain defenses that coach does. There's an unlimited amount of things to look into. So, it's pretty hard to find.
Do you have a spreadsheet? And you analyze everything, or because I feel like you have you can get all this information, like you say, you kind of need luck. But what is that like tipping point of when you say, okay, this is the game I want to bet on, because you have to have an advantage over, right?
Oh, definitely.
More than a 50-50 advantage.
Yeah, in my eyes, if it has to be more than a 50-50 for me to obviously put money on it. But yeah, I mean, I guess it could be like a checklist, and whichever ones check the most boxes will be it,
So typically on a given week, like how many games do you bet on then? Like how many, bets do you put in?
Not that many, because like I told Sam, I'm not a volume bettor. I just look for quality and just go bigger on fewer games. So like between college and NFL, I'll have less than probably 10 games in a week, maybe 3, 4, 3 to 5 on Saturday and then another 3 or 4 on Sunday.
I think for myself, I learned the hard way, like you did probably first. You've been betting for 30 years. You said the first 10 years you were learning how to do it and you made a lot of mistakes. So in my early days too, it's the same way. Like you remember, like when I was betting, I would bet like probably 15 to 20 bets a day, and I wasn't betting a lot, but it was more volume because I liked the action.
I think you're selling yourself short with 20 bets a day. Sometimes,
more.
dude, when you got to scroll like 4 or 5 times
To see how many plays I had,
how many plays you had, it's a lot, man.
Yeah, but like you, and I'm probably not as disciplined as you yet, but I learned to really hone down in the games that I like versus just, there's a game, let me just pick one or the other. It's 50-50 chance. It literally is 50-50 chance. But most of the time, whatever you're thinking is not good. And so you have to understand which way to bet to do it. So I'm learning to do less volume and more quantity and quality versus volume, right?
Yeah, and you have been better at that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Hey, last week, like I said, one bet. One bet just for fun to kind of start off the season, and it was a 4-leg parlay for $100 and hit $1,000.
Nice.
So Sam's big winner in the office for now.
Yeah. So, Mark, like, what is your thought process going into this season? Is it more social, kind of like people who drink socially for alcohol, and it's more like, okay, it's something to talk about at the office, I'll put in a few bets, or do you have a goal? Like, I'm sure Danny has a goal in place. He's like, okay, this football season, I would win $100,000 or some kind of a goal in mind, versus like you is like, do you say like, if I hit 3,000 or 5,000 this season, I'm stopping? Or like, what's your mentality going into it?
Yeah, I mean, I think more so than not, it's still, I'm not going to be delusional and think that like I'm going to be able to like figure out the formula, at least in the small amount of time that I've been gambling, and be good at this. And so I think my goal is more to stay social like with it and just kind of enjoy the action as it comes along, but let it be like something that doesn't necessarily like if I win or lose, I can't bet the amount of money where it's going to hurt me, where it's going to be like, I'm not going to be able to feed my family or anything like that. But like at the end of the season, if I walk away, positive, like you said, like $2,000-$3,000, I will have considered that a big success. It ends up becoming like extra spending money that I'll have that I can buy, something nice for my wife, or something, a nice brand new golf club for me, or something like that. I think that would be kind of the goal, while still being able to get action. So but I know even as I'm saying this, I'm probably like the bookies like best case scenario. Like they look at me as like, oh, here's the sucker who like he's gonna pay for my kid's college tuition, stuff like that.
That's a lot, college tuition.
No, I mean, he's gonna need to find like 20 more suckers like me. But I also know that if I lose like 2,000-3,000 for the whole season, it's not going to be like the end of the world. Like it'll just be for fun.
Right. I think sports books or bookies, I'm probably the best case scenario for customers.
I would say
just
Sam,
like casino.
Sam's ideal.
Casinos too. I'm the ideal customer. Because a lot of times in casinos too, right? Like you said, they want people to sit there and long term at the seat and gamble long term. The guys who do the quick hit and runs and make money tend to make money and they don't spend the money or lose the money as much. Whereas someone like me, I can sit for 6 to 8 hours and have a whole session. It's amazing, like how much. I think my record is, we went on a two night trip to Vegas. and they said I gambled 18 hours. So that was a long term.
That's nuts.
9
dude.
hours.
I don't know how you have
almost
the
like 9
stamina.
hours a day. Yeah.
The stamina to
But what's
sit
crazy is because I actually didn't just go there and gamble. And I literally went to other things. Well, I watched the Sphere, U2. We went to Omnia nightclub. We did all kinds of stuff. And I was still able to gamble 18 hours. I was like, what the
there.
heck?
Just means every second you weren't doing something, you were gambling.
Yeah. That means like he probably got no sleep.
No
either.
downtime.
So let's talk about different types of football games as of seasons coming up with the NFL. There are different ways of gambling, right? So not like betting 50-50 on win or lose. There's unders and overs. There's parlays, obviously. Let's also talk about office pools. So we in our office, we participate in office pool. Can you guys explain a little bit how office pools work?
Yeah, I mean, for the office pool that we have, how we work it is basically, any given week there's 9 or 10 games going on. Is that right? And then of that, you have to basically choose 5 games that you're basically choosing who the winner is going to be, based on the spread. And then that's the record that you kind of get for that given week. Like
Right.
you can go 5-0, you can go 0-5,
Right.
and then you accumulate that record as the whole like season progresses. And obviously, at the end of the season, whoever has the best record then obviously wins the entire pool. Whatever money that you're putting into the pool to be able to actually pay out the prizes for the winners.
Yeah, and then in our scenario, if you do a 5-0 week, you get a bonus, right?
Mm-hmm.
But also, if you do a 0-5, you have to pay in.
You have to pay a penalty.
Yeah, so it makes it a little fun. The other thing is there's another thing that that's big with, I think, like DraftKings and stuff too. They have, is it like fantasy football? They make money off of fantasy football or no?
I mean, that's how they got started, was actually daily fantasy sports, right? So you're just choosing, fantasy on any given, the players that you choose and the stats that they actually get. And that's how they kind of build that up.
Right.
They also have those player prop things now, right?
Yeah.
That the kids
I
were
think in
doing.
California, you're allowed to bet on the sports app for like stats. You just can't pick games yet, but it's not legal. But you can say over under on a yardage or something, like, or how many touchdowns someone's going to get. Mm-hmm. So there's another one called the survival pool. Do you guys know anything about survival pools? I think we're in a survival pool.
Yeah, I think how survivor pools work is, again, a bunch of people actually sign up and, they're going to be a part of the whole season, and you pay in whatever the pool is going to be, let's say 100 or 200 or 500. And depending on obviously how many people sign up is whatever the prize pool is going to be. But so each week you're just choosing one game, who you think is going to win. And if you choose correctly, you survive that week. But if you choose incorrectly, then obviously you get eliminated. And people continue to go each week to see who survives. And it's kind of like a, last man standing kind of thing. And
Takes the whole pot?
And they take the whole pot. Or they do, certain, depending on how big the pool prize might be, they might choose like, top 3 and then divvy up the prize money, accordingly.
I see.
The key thing about survivor leagues, though, is you're not betting on a point spread. You're just betting on a team just to win.
But you can't pick the same team?
Well, they have different types of survivor leagues. There's the one type where you could pick the same team over and over again. You could pick any team you want, and those are obviously a little easier. But I think the original, like the survivor leagues, where you can't pick the same team twice in the whole season. So if I choose the Rams on week 1, then I can't choose the Rams again for the rest of the season. So that makes
it harder.
it makes it a lot harder because you got to look at the schedule ahead and see
How many weeks is there? 16 or is it 18?
17 weeks, I think, right? Or is it 18 weeks
think
but
it's
17
18.
games?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so you got to look at the schedule ahead and see who's playing who to see the matchups to kind of like
So if it's
pick your
18
team.
weeks, how many teams are there in the NFL? 30? 34?
32, something like that.
So in that scenario, you can't pick the same team. That's pretty hard.
It's hard, yeah.
Unless there's like really 50-50 teams that are really good and really sucky.
So you got to time the games pretty wisely on when you're going to pick the heavy favorites and not.
Right. So it's not off the spread.
Yeah, no, it's just
Usually.
straight up win. Yeah,
Just straight up win.
Nice. Because I think we're in one right now that has potentially 100,000 payout. And in that situation, if we're the last man standing, we could make 50 grand, maybe 60 grand.
I don't know what the payouts are in those.
Might be something like that.
What's the biggest amount of money? Have you participated in the survivor pool?
No, I don't really do those.
Okay.
I mean, for me, it's just week to week. Just week to week.
Single bets?
Just single bets. Yeah, no parlays for me, no survivor
What's
leagues,
the
any of
biggest
that kind
amount
stuff.
of money you've won in a football season in your career, 30 years?
Oh, there are a bunch of years where we did, Sonny and I usually combine. It's on all my bets. We just go 50-50 on both. But, there's a bunch of years where I cleared six figures.
Like low
Probably
six
low
figures?
six figures,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, I don't
like
have
100, 200,000?
Yeah, I don't have a
120.
huge bankroll to roll with. So I'll usually start small and then just work it up.
What's the largest amount of money you've lost in a season?
Oh, and at the same time, we probably lost like 40, 50K sometimes too, combined, with Sonny. But in the long run, I would say we're definitely up.
Wow.
That's why with the sports betting, it's not, I don't see it as okay. Even on
It's
the
not
losing
entertainment
week.
for you.
It's not entertainment, yeah. But it's like the stock market, some years it's good, some years it's bad. And, so that's the way I view it. It's not gambling, it's more of an investment. In the long run, it will pay out.
Wait, so does that mean like the stock market, there are weeks where you're just like, you like shit the bed and you're just like,
Oh, yeah. I followed some of his bets before.
Yeah, Sam's timing has been pretty bad sometimes where, I'd be on a hot run and Sam would hop in, but, then I go on a cold run. So betting football is just like any like blackjack or craps or any of the other scared money episodes you've seen. It's very streaky. You're going to win. You're going to go on runs, winning runs and losing runs, and that's where, your betting strategy is key, and you got to, when it's cold, you got to just grind it out. When it's hot, you got to press and take advantage of those runs.
It can be kind of scary, though.
Yeah, it can, and that's why a lot of times, there's a lot of people that I share plays with. There's a lot of times where at the end of the season I'll come up a good amount where other people won't.
Right.
Right. They might break even, but I'll come out good just because I might have pressed and rode one streak really hard. And it is scary, no doubt. I mean, it is scary, but as you say, scared money don't make money.
Right.
Well, I mean, so that said, when you're riding high, as you say, and you're like pressing hard, what's the largest amount that you've ever bet on like a single bet or a single game?
Oh, I'm easily over 20K,
Wow.
on a single game.
Did you win?
Oh, I mean, there's so
You
many.
don't remember?
There's a lot of those. So some of them you win, some of them you lose. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of situations where that might come into play.
Yeah, I remember how I got into sports betting. It was back in, I want to say it was like 2014 or 2015. And Danny was like, sports betting, talking about it. I was like, I don't know what this means. What's the juice? What's that? What's this? So I said, hey, just I feel like it's kind of easy picking who's going to win or it's covering the spread or whatever. So I asked Danny, can you get me an account to open it up and starts betting? So I said, put in a bet. So I put, it was college football. I don't remember which team I picked, but it was I want to say it was a 4 or 5 team parlay. And I bet like $300 to $500 because I thought that was all I'm going to bet and that would be done. It's kind of like playing blackjack, one hand. I was like, one hand of this. And fortunately and unfortunately, I actually hit it. And Danny's like, oh my God, that's the beginner's luck. And that's what gets you hooked. And I think I won $5,000 or $6,000 that day. It was a Saturday. And I was like, oh my God, this is easy.
Wow.
That's how they get you.
That's how it got me. And at the same time, I lost most of it on Sunday, thinking I could keep winning. I mean, that's the same story how I got into gambling.
And then a lot more of the years to come.
Yeah.
The years following.
So I think overall in my career, because I haven't had a 30-year run on gambling, sports gambling, I would say I'm down. So, and then hopefully I can change that around in the next 5 to 10 years. But trying to be disciplined, and I am getting better. Like I said before, like I would be putting in 15 to 30 bets a day. Now I might put in like 15 to 30 bets a week, which is a lot less. I'm not at Danny's level yet, where you're betting only 10 bets a week, but yeah, hopefully I can do better and hit some parlays.
Parlay Sam.
Parlays.
The key thing is money management, just like in blackjack, craps, and all the other scared money episodes. The money management is key.
Yeah, Sonny talks about that all the time, especially when we play craps and knowing when to leave the table.
Yeah, that's key.
So how do you know when to leave, though, in sports betting?
I don't leave. I've been doing it for 30 years.
So if you're down, let's say you're down like $20,000 in 1 week, do you come back and try to win 20,000 back, or do you try to like win more?
No. I mean, if I have a really bad week like that, I'll probably drop my unit size. Because obviously that means you're on a cold run. You know, just drop my unit size, just try to chip away a little bit, and then once I start feeling it and get on a run, start pressing again to get it back. You know, my goal, if I'm down 20K, it's never going to be to win it all back in 1 week. And if I did, that's great. But it would be more to like just chip away and, you know, like I said, it's a whole season long. For me, it's a season long investment. It's not a week to week thing. And that's how you got to look at it.
So I was watching a reel, and it was Mickey Mace talking about sports betting or any betting. So I think actually he was talking about blackjack or baccarat. So he was talking about units. So when you're betting units, whether you're being up or down, because the question was, do you lower your unit when you're on a down streak? And his answer was a little different than what you said. You said, oh, when I'm on a bad streak, I start lowering my bets. He said, if I lower my units, when I get on the hot run, it'll take me double time to win my money back that I lost.
Well, it also depends on, because no doubt it is going to be streaky. You know, eventually you'll get on a good run, but it also depends on the bankroll you're rolling with. You know, if I drop 20K, I don't have the bankroll to have multiple weeks where I could drop 20K. Right. I mean, Mickey Mays, he's different level. He got tons of money behind him, right? So he could withstand losing streaks a lot more than I would be able to.
Right. I mean, it makes sense, but the logic is, let's say, because like the winning streak is maybe a small window versus when your losing streak might be bigger. So he was saying in the winning streak, you have to know when to press, right? And then on the losing streak, he's saying if you go down a level and you start on the winning streak, then it will take you more time to even get back.
Oh,
to
it will,
even,
but it's just a little more conservative method.
Right.
You know, where it'll take you longer to win it back, but at the same time, it'll prevent you from, you know, losing your house.
Right, because like with anything, especially with gambling, like it's all about timing, right? You got to know, like, how do you know that your downturn has finished? You think that you might have hit rock bottom, but then it keeps going down more. And if you keep the units the same or higher, let's say, to try to win it back faster, then you just, you know, you go down even more. I mean, I've had friends who, you know, got like sucked into gambling, whether or not it was sports betting or like, you know, going to casinos, and they, you know, spiraled and they ended up like, you know, going down, and then they think that, you know, they went with one unit, but then they have to win back that money. So then their units become double or triple. And then the next thing you know, they're selling their family business just to be able to, true up on the debts that they owe. It's a crazy story, but we all probably know someone like that.
Like we said, we always say gambling's very streaky. So it's like you don't know when it's going to turn.
Right.
And you see that a lot on how a lot of like people bet roulette, red and black, right? You see 10 reds in a row. A lot of people say, percentages say it's got to turn black, and then they'll press black and then double and double and double, thinking they're going to break that streak. But all of a sudden, you look at the board and the whole board's red, and they lost their house. They're
It's like 23.
It's impossible to. It's hard to predict when it's going to turn.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, gambling it can be bad like that, inspiring. But that's why we always say gamble responsibly and gamble what you can lose. Sports betting is the same way. And if anything, I would just join your friends and do a fantasy football league for $100 and have the winner take all in the fantasy league. So you're involved with the games, with the players. It's low risk. $100. It's for entertainment, which will last you like 18 weeks. But in other ways, like I said, like we just talked about, if you have the money and you want to get involved, sports betting can be fun as long as it's responsible. You can do office pools where you put a pool in and put money in and there's a payout. And then there's survival pools. And then, there's different ways of making money, right? So I would say keep your head up, keep your money in your pockets, and don't lose it all.
I would say like 97% of sports bettors end up losing money. So
97%?
Something like that. Most people, sports betting is a losing proposition. So if you don't really know what you're doing, you don't have the money management or discipline.
Or the deep pockets.
Or deep pockets, stay away.
Stay away. I wish we had a sponsor that's that people can sign up with, and we can give them a code for a free thing, but we don't. But if you are a sponsor looking for someone, as our subscriber list and viewership goes up, we would love to promote a responsible gaming platform.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for coming today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
For this week or this season, sorry. What football team do you feel like is going to win the Super Bowl?
It's almost too early, and I feel like the easy thing to say would be the Chiefs to repeat again. But you know what? I like the moves that the Baltimore Ravens have been making in the offseason. And if Lamar can stay healthy, I think they got a legit chance.
Danny? You can say it on record because this is going to be posted, so we can say, see, I predicted the winners of the Super Bowl. The Bears?
I don't know. I mean, on paper, Niners look real good.
Yeah.
But they looked good last year, too.
All right.
And 3 years before that.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're always an easy one, the pretty looking one, but it doesn't always pan out.
I'm going to predict the Chiefs also to win.
Chiefs are another popular
I'm going to say the Bears are going to make the playoffs.
We'll have to do a side bet on that one.
No, I just said that because Caleb Williams. He's kind of a crazy dude. But, yeah. And one last question before we end the episode. Today's preseason game, it's Thursday, is Philadelphia Eagles versus Patriots. -3 on the Pats and 35.5 on the over-under. What do you guys predict?
Shoot, this is hard. I don't even know.
I predict the under.
Well, I always bet dogs and under, so I'll go with the dog and the under.
All right, Philadelphia Eagles and under.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to put that parlay in today. We'll let you know how I did next time. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for watching us today on Scared Money Don't Make Money. Make sure to gamble responsibly, and see you at the next episode. Bye-bye.